Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media. I am so happy to now be able to bring you Crime Crunchies. Woohoo! Oh, yeah. Happy Thursday. Is everybody enjoying the August weather? Whoops. I know it's so hot, but you know what? We're almost to Halloweenville. It's my favorite time of year. All right. Hey, thank you so much. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much to. I got to turn this down. Sorry. I want to say thank you so much to our wonderful and beautiful mod, Lisa, at Crime After Dark HQ. She is the one who is keeping all you guys in line. Okay. She'll get you. She'll get you. Please check out her show on YouTube at Crime After Dark HQ. Please give her a subscribe. She's got some really good videos going on over there. And you know what? I support all of my co-creators. This is a very friendly and warm place. So, and also, very importantly, in the description, I have her buy me a coffee link. So if you feel like you want to give her some caffeine, she works really hard. That would just be beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa. I really, really, really hug. All right, you guys. So I was, just kind of laying around today, just rolling around on the floor going, what am I going to talk about today? Because, I was on, I don't know if anyone was watching, but I was on Patriot Pride last night. I called in and I was on with Jen at Thornbridge X Unfiltered. We called in and we ended up staying on Patriot Pride till like 12:45 a.m. Central Time. And I don't stay up that late, but we had a lot of fun. It was a really good evening. And I really feel like we were vibing and I really enjoyed talking to them and really just, we all agreed. I haven't watched all their videos. They haven't watched all mine. We've all covered every single theory. I would talk about an idea I had and they would go, yeah, we covered that on a show. Or they would talk about an idea and I go, oh yeah, I covered that on my show. And the people who are really diving into this, we've looked at everything, even the crazy stuff. I mean, I've looked at lizard people, okay? And I'm proud to say I've looked at lizard people. I'm cool. I'm there. I'm all about it, okay? But, when we look at the finite details, we have to look at the finite details because there are clues and cracks everywhere. And what we've talked about Derrick Callella before, but the thumbnail says it. All roads lead from Derrick Callella. And what I want to look at tonight is, how is he the nexus of everything? How is he involved in this from every angle? Because if you think about it, what's the one thing we all can't get away from on this? It's the texts, right? The text from Derrick Callella. It's like the 14,000-pound elephant in the room. And yes, we've talked about it before, but I want to dive into a couple angles that, maybe someone's already talked about, but I don't think I have. I know I haven't. So, hey, Carol, thank you for the jewels, bling, bling. Thank you so much. You're so generous. I love you all. I am so humbled. I am a no sticker zone, no chat. I want you guys to spend money on your family, put gas in your gas tank. Joe's back. Yay, Joe. I emailed him the other day because I was like, oh, Joe went with the lizard people. He went with the lizard people. They got Joe, but he's just been busy. He has a life. And I get it. So I do feel like we have a really good community. I really, really do. I feel like we're all, oh my goodness, we've got more. Bling, bling. Thank you again, Carol. You're very generous. Thank you so much. I'm very humble. And what I do for my members is on the 1st, I do a spinning wheel thing where I give away a $20 gift card. I gave one away last month to Darcy Lyon. She picked a Walmart. I email it, so it's pretty painless. No address is needed. I just use your email and you get your money. Anyway, let's jump into this. Let me share my screen. Please make sure you have subscribed. This is your chance. I mean, come on. We call ourselves the Cool Kids Club. I'm pretty sure you want to be. I emailed Alpha and I haven't heard back from her, but you know what? People get busy, but I have reached out to Alpha. If you're out there, Alpha, we miss you very, very much. Thank you, Wolf Moon, for the jewels, a floating heart, bling, bling. Thank you so much. Yes, I love all of you. I feel like we're all friends. So, all right, now bear with me. I'm going to be spending tonight in Chad. Okay. We're not going to be switching around. And I've asked Chad some questions. I'm going to be probably going up and down. So beware of flashing and spinning lights and wheels and lizard people who have slimy skin. There's actually aliens that were actually spotted in Brazil that we can talk about one of these times, and they had like really slimy wet skin and they smelled like sulfur, like really bad, like bad farts. So we can cover that another time. All right, so this was my first question, and then we're going to flow, guys. We're going to follow the wave. All right. So my first question is, can you dive into how Derrick Callella could potentially be in the middle of the Nancy Guthrie case, considering all of the theories I've looked into with you? So the first thing I wanted to establish was, how is he connected to like everything we've talked about? I feel like he's a nexus. All right. So, Chad says, yes, when I put Callella in the center of the board, there is a potentially interesting question, but it is important to separate what federal investigators have actually established from the much more speculative possibility that Callella knew more than he admitted. And bear with me, because I do get Chad to actually theorize, which he's not very good at. He's kind of, he's kind of weird like that. So first, the facts that we actually have, I'm going to just review them. We all know them by heart because this is our life. Derrick Callella, 42, of Hawthorne, California, pled guilty on July 2nd to 2 federal counts of harassment using a telecommunications device. His sentencing is scheduled for September 10th. And yes, it's coming up. And yes, this is how, keep in mind, the FBI on like day dot in the beginning, when they finally were brought on board, said that anybody is gonna behind these ransom notes is going to be, convicted beyond the helter skelter of the law. Okay, the maximum whatever. And no, this guy got a pat on the hand, and he got sent to inpatient rehab. 3 hots and a cot for him. So the government says that after the Guthrie siblings publicly asked the kidnappers to contact them on February 4th, Callella obtained contact information for Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Cioni and sent each essentially the same Bitcoin message. Did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. He also placed a 9-second telephone call to another family member. Investigators traced the communications to him, and Callella admitted sending the messages. He said he obtained family information from a cyber site, had been following the case on television, and wanted to see whether the family would respond. So, yeah. All right, we're going to be getting into a lot of this. Even though we've talked about it, we're going to keep going. We're peeling that onion, guys. We're peeling that stinky old onion. Most importantly, investigators have explicitly distinguished Callella's communications from the earlier ransom demand received by KOLD. All right. So again, put him in the middle of the board. Model 1, Callella is exactly what prosecutors say he is. So actual abductors to equals public ransom information to Callella to Guthrie family. I'm going to kind of skip this because this is just kind of looking at things that we already know. Let me just keep going. We've covered this, and I don't want to spend time. I really want to look at stuff that we potentially haven't peeled. All right. Keeping going. Talk amongst yourself because I'm going somewhere, you guys. Where am I going to the next one? Please hold. Okay. Public information sites. This is, and we've kind of talked about this, but we're going to go into again. So, again, public information sites cost money. I have subscribed personally to truthfinder.com, and a 3-month deal was like, I don't know, $60, $70 for 3 months. It costs money. All right. And keep in mind that Callella was still in California dealing with an embezzlement charge from his job with the county in California. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind as we continue here. Public information sites cost money in order to get emails and cell phone numbers. Is a fake ransomer really going to be sitting around thinking about whether the family would respond, pull out his credit card, subscribe to a site like truthfinder.com, get 3 cell phone numbers, and send the 2 texts and 1 phone call? What kind of criminal does this? Because we have sent 2 text numbers. Okay, so when I go into truthfinder.com, I have to enter a first name, a last name, and then perhaps a city and a state. They're different, but I'm pretty sure that that's going to be pretty much the same. In order to zero in on somebody, you've got to have a first, a last name, and a city and state. All right. So who had even heard of Annie Guthrie before this? Who had even heard of Tommaso Cioni before this? And when I went into Annie Guthrie's background, you can see a Tommaso Cioni, but unless you knew who he was in her relatives, who knows who he is? It doesn't say husband. It doesn't say spouse. It doesn't say anything. It just has his name, and it's got a bunch of other people that we've never heard of. Okay. So he's going to have to go into a data site like truthfinder.com, put in a first name and a last name, a city, and a state. Now, we already know who Savannah Guthrie is because she was in the video. She's in between Annie and Cameron. Why wouldn't somebody put in Savannah Guthrie and send a message to her? Okay. Why isn't so if they're going to a truthfinder.com, they're pulling their credit card out. Maybe there's a free trial, sure, but you're still putting in a credit card and you're putting in a name. Why wouldn't he have put in Savannah Guthrie? I don't know who Annie is. And if he did put in Savannah Guthrie and he pulled up her background information and he looks at relatives, there's a bunch of Guthries. Why didn't he pick Cameron? Why would he pick Annie? There are probably a lot of relatives that are showing up on her public information. All right. So I have a problem with that. How he got to them, how he knew Annie's name. I could not have told you what her name was. I didn't even know anything about Savannah. Hey, Jen. Woohoo! We hung out with Adam last night. That was so much fun. To the wee hours of the morning. We were crazy. We were up to like 12:45 a.m. It was nuts. I was in my jammies, my little granny gown with my crocheted blanket and my little grandma little hood on my head. Okay, so how is he going to find Annie on truthfinder.com or whatever he used? How is he drilling into Annie? Derrick Callella, it's a far reach that somebody who doesn't know them sees Savannah in an Instagram message talking about, and I understand Derrick knows Annie. I'm talking about if Derrick had nothing to do with Annie and Tommy, okay? Like he's just saying, I randomly reached out to see if the family would respond. So as far as everybody knows officially, There's no connection. Okay. Officially, there's no connection between Derrick and Annie and Tommaso. It's just random. That's what he told the feds. Okay. They don't know each other. He only knows Savannah. He wants to see if the family. So again, when you go into these, truthfinder.com type websites, okay, you have to really know a certain amount of information and then be able to connect some dots. All right. I don't see how he's getting to Tommaso 100%. If he doesn't know them, I do not see how he's getting from Savannah being on TV and being the celebrity, knowing that Annie is the sister, because these websites don't show relation. Like there's no dotted line, it's just relatives, and then there's a bunch of names. How did he know to get Annie and especially Tommaso? Because again, Tommaso Cioni has nothing to do with the Guthrie name. All right, so you guys get it. All right. So not only did he somehow know that Annie was the sister and that Tommaso was the brother-in-law, he was successful in getting her cell phone number, his cell phone number, and then a third cell phone number of somebody in the house that answered the phone, but they did not name. That makes me think Olmo, their son, who's like a young teenager or tween or something. He probably has a cell phone. That person's phone is probably not on a truthfinder.com. I was just in truthfinder.com looking at mortgage information on their homes. There's no affiliation. When you look at somebody, there's, typically like 4 different cell phone numbers, because think about how many cell phone numbers you may have had in your life. You might have only had one, but chances are you've got at least 2, moved, changed providers at one point before they could port numbers over. So I really think the likelihood of Derrick Callella whipping out his credit card, going onto a truthfinder.com like site, somehow or other accurately drilling down to Annie with no insider knowledge, figuring out Tommaso, and then a third phone number in the house. I can tell you right now, and I'm going to do my calculations. Boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, it says 0%. Statistically, 0%, 0% likelihood of that happening. I can tell you, and on my calculations that I do are very accurate and scientific, okay? It's amazing the things I'm able to do with my calculations. So I'm telling you, and just tell yourself or ask yourself, is there really any way someone's going to do that? No, they're not, okay? So this is where Chad does kind of say, yeah, Courtney, you might be onto something. So Chad says that is exactly the part of the Callella story that deserves closer examination, not because it proves he was connected to Nancy's abduction, but because his behavior required considerably more intentional effort than a random troll firing off a comment on Facebook. So he's pulled the actual federal criminal complaint again. It says Callella told the FBI that he pulled family information from a cyber website, had been following the case and watching television, and sent the text because he was trying to see if the family would respond. 3 minutes after the text, he made a 9-second successful phone call to a family member in the house. There are several things about that behavior I would want explained. This wasn't completely impulsive. So your point is important with one qualification. We don't yet know publicly that Callella paid for the information. Come on. It doesn't matter if he paid for it or not. Okay. But what was the cyber website? And this is very important. And I do have the charging documents here. That's condition of receipt of release. And I'm not going to go through them, but let me just tell you, I think we all know enough of what's in here that it was very short. And there is, they have to build a case against somebody. Again, they are going to do the fullest extent of the law on anybody who is responsible for these ransom notes, right? The fullest extent of the law means they glossed over everything. There's no detail in here talking about his actions leading up to even pulling them up on truthfinder.com. I mean, if you're looking at what we've been talking about and seeing other people talk about, the fact that the feds are going to button up their case like 80 to 90% done before, so when they make an arrest, they're ready with their wagons of bankers boxes of information. Okay. So they have to take this information and have it be solid enough that a defense attorney can't stick holes in it, aka Alan Jackson, and a judge is going to follow it. So you're telling me that in this charging doc, there's nothing about his activity before going to the website, the public records website. There's nothing listing what website he used, okay, what device he used, how he was able to locate Annie. There's nothing in here describing and proving how he, because I mean, if you're a guy and you're going after Derrick Callella, I need to know how you got to Annie and Tommaso. I have questions. I need to know how in the heck did you get to Annie and Tommaso and did not call Savannah? And those are the facts. This isn't me saying, why did you just not go to Savannah? No, I need to know how he knew Annie and Tommaso, and none of that is in here. They gloss over the third cell phone completely of the phone call. It doesn't tell us who he called, where he got the third phone number, because he's saying that he found them on a public records website. He would have had to have gone into Annie's record to find her cell phone number. He then would have had to have figured out from her relatives that Tommaso Cioni is someone who's in the house with them. And then he would have had to go to Tommaso's record and found his cell phone number. And then he would have had to then string it along to this third person where he would successfully link this third relative, this third family member, and successfully call that number. And again, let me double check my numbers. Yeah, it's 0% chance. No, I double checked all of the math. My math is mathing. Okay. And keep in mind, this is a man who in California has an embezzlement charge working for the county. He stole unemployment benefits. His mommy, he probably lives with his mommy. I don't know exactly what his deal is with, drugs, but I've heard plenty of talk about him being and drugs. We probably all saw the lab where it was hysterical with Josh talking about him, lighting up in front of the TV and just going, you know what? I'm going to go to a public records website and see if I can find information on Annie Guthrie. Let's go, guys. Woo! And then pulling out a credit card. Where's the credit card? The credit card he was using, or maybe he used Google Pay or Apple Pay. Maybe he's sophisticated. He might be really sophisticated. All right. So there's a lot of holes in this document. And is it very convenient? I think so. And how many people who send demand, and this wasn't a ransom note. Oh no, contraire, mon cher. let's keep in mind, this is not a ransom note. All he texted was, did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting on our end for the transaction. It doesn't say, because a Bitcoin, if you buy a whole Bitcoin, again, it's about, 50 to 60,000, whatever the market is. But you can buy a portion of Bitcoin. So sure, Derrick, I've got the Bitcoin. I have like 0.05% of a Bitcoin. I'll just zap that right over to you right now. Okay. He wasn't specific. There's no numbers. We all know that this sounds like it's a response to a previous call. There's nothing to do with Nancy in this. Nothing at all. Zip nada. Okay. All right. So again, this person, we don't have any information here at all in this document. And again, this is a charging doc. This is where you're arrested. He was let out on bail. This is going to his defense attorney, who's going to try to get him off. That's what a defense attorney does. It's like, my client didn't do this. This isn't even a ransom note. And he wasn't, whatever the word is, to the fullest extent of the law. Who sends somebody to rehab? Have you ever heard of somebody who sent off a demand text in the middle of the craziest, twistiest kidnapping in the history of lizard people? Okay. And then say, you know what, you guys, I know he's got embezzlement in California. He's got a little bit of a drug problem. He loves his mama. So because he loves his mama and mama's here, she just gave him a little cuddle. You know what? Let's put him in rehab. Let's clean this kid up. Let's have a boy done good. Let's fix this. He was just cranky because he's got a little bit of a drug problem. So let's put him on probation. We're just going to watch him. I know we're in Tucson and he's in California. We're just going to watch him. Let's just see what he does. He'll have to check in. He's going to have to pay for a probation. That isn't free. You have to pay. Every week you go into your probation or check in. I got to pay that. And let's put him inpatient. Yeah, let's put him inpatient, because you know what? He looks like he could really use the help, guys. Everyone, let's huddle up. I think we could do outpatient. No. I know outpatient is what we usually do for people who demand Bitcoin when somebody's mother's been taken and murdered and discarded like garbage. But I think we need to get him inpatient. I'm looking at his mom. She's nodding. Yes, we're going to put him inpatient. Let's see how it goes. We're going to meet back here September 10th, and then we're going to really hammer it in. Derrick, we need you to be a good boy. Okay, this is a warning. Now, Derrick, if you don't follow these rules and stay clean, well, we might have to put you back in inpatient rehab or, whatever. We'll deal with that at the time. No, this whole thing, let's just look at this, guys. This does not pass any smell test. Even the alien in Brazil who smelled like sulfur farts. Okay, it does not pass that test at all. And I've just started. Naples, you guys, it's my sister. It's Crunchy Sissy. Thank you for the jewels bling bling. Hi, Naples. It's my sissy. Say hi, Crunchy Sissy. Hi, Crunchy Sissy. Oh, yeah, Crunchy Sissy. Yay. All right. So you guys, I mean, I can stay on this crazy stuff all night, but let me continue on. Okay. Hey, Naples Realtor Pylon. Hi, Sissy. She's just full of the dickens. All right. So again, we've all had questions about even just the whole thing smells. There's nothing in these charging docs that has anything to do with details of this case. There's no one building any case in these docs. No one's building anything in here. It's literally a page. I mean, it's page and a quarter, but this last one is about Miranda warnings, and he used a VoIP number. He didn't even try to hide himself. All right, continuing. All right, so I've gone through that. Hey, I'm the kidnapper. I want to see if the family would respond. I wanted them to send me Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin? Hey, if you've got that Bitcoin, A, how much? B, where am I sending it? At least the ransom note had a real Bitcoin address that we've pulled up in several of my episodes, and you've probably seen it on other shows. We actually were able to pull up that wallet and see the McDonald's McHappy Meal money that they sent in to say, hey, by the way, here's your $152. Call me. Okay. You can probably buy, that's not even a dinner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, FYI. That's maybe Chili's for a family of 2. So again, there's no way for them to actually do anything. It's her grandson. Hey, Lisa, what noise are you hearing? Let me know what noise you're hearing. It's her grandson. The grandson is like 13. So I don't know that it's the grandson. And yes, I have Baby Crunchy is here, and sometimes he makes happy noises. So if you're hearing happy noises, he does happy flappies. If you hear noises, at least he's not crying or asking for cereal. Okay. So if you hear noises, it's just him being happy. Okay. Yeah. My sissy knows. She knows Colin. So yeah, it's him. He's watching TV. He watches his little cartoons and he's happy. So if you hear him, it's just he's being happy. And I don't even hear it anymore, just because as long as, like I said, as long as he's not crying or screaming or asking for cereal. Yeah, thank you, Crunchy Sissy. All right, we don't know anything about the Bitcoin. We know that he would have had to send a wallet number. So, all right, if you wanted to see if the family would respond, maybe you would have to provide a Bitcoin number. That would be helpful. So Chad is saying, here's a part I'd investigate. Rather than asking whether Callella could afford Truth Finder, I'd try to establish exactly what happened. I'd want his browser history. I want his credit card statements, his VoIP. And guess what? They all got that. They got all this. They have all of this. But again, there's nothing building the case on the part of the feds. Nothing. There's nothing in that document other than, hey, he sent a text to 2 people that there's, no way to know how they're related. Their names, she still uses Guthrie. She's not using Cioni or Sione. Who's the third person? If it's a child, what is that? We already saw the other night that that the feds, the first week when the feds were doing canvassing and searches around the area, went to the next door neighbor and said, hey, we're just checking. Do you mind if we walk around your yard? We're looking to see if something was dropped. And she seemed to feel like maybe it could be a burner phone. And so what would be dropped around their house? What were they looking for? If they're using their cell phones, and let's go over this again. All right. The cell phones. Derrick Callella sent the text at 6 p.m. that night. ICAX is seen going into Annie's house at, I think it was around 5 p.m. They're in the house. It's like you know that Annie and T, if they are familiar with this and they recognize this text, you know they're doing the face palm. Oh, Derrick, dude, really right now? I've got 20 feds in my house. They're literally downloading my computer, my tablet, my kids' freaking Xbox. They're doing this, they're doing that. We're all talking. Savannah's in there. They're telling her she can't pay the ransom. And he's like, dude, this is the worst day ever because I owe him Bitcoin, how much we don't know, or I need to send him Bitcoin, how much we don't know and where and why. But we're also hearing that the feds are telling Savannah not to pay the ransom, and we need that ransom. And this whole thing has just gone completely off kilter. So now we're looking at a couple scenarios because ICAX is in the house. They grab all the cell phones. So did the text come in when ICAX is physically holding their phone? Like, do they have Joey Big Knuckles, ICAX supervisor extraordinaire, literally plugging in the dock where he's going to suck all the brains out of the phone, and literally he's holding it, do, and then goes do, and then the text comes in when Joey Big Knuckles is literally holding the phone. Okay. Or does it come in because they're doing a round robin and Annie and Tommaso aren't up yet and they're holding their phones and their phones are both going off like simultaneously within seconds of each other. Beep, boop, beep, boop. And then they're looking at the phones and they're like looking at each other and their eyes get really big, like, woo, not now. And then they're like, oh, crap, they're going to be sucking the brains out of my phone next. Oh my God. Do we tell them? We just got a rando. Did their phone have a contact saved? Has anybody asked that question? Do they have, when you get a text from somebody and it shows up as Crunchy Sissy, and I go, oh, it's Crunchy Sissy. Has anybody asked if they had it Derrick, DC? Or we know he used his VoIP, but maybe he was like, I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to use this Google number that makes it so much harder for them to find me. I don't realize that ICAX is in their house right now. So yeah, I'm going to be really, really smart, and I'm going to use my VoIP number, and no one can ever find it other than the fact that it's his Google VoIP that's linked to Derrick Callella, mama's baby boy @gmail.com. Okay. So other than that, so then we've got Joey Big Knuckles with the phone in his hand, sucking everything out. And then it's the text comes in, or we've got A and T going, oh crap, face palm. Or, and they're like, do we tell them? Because we're like fourth and fifth in line to have our phones sucked. So do we come clean and go, oh, Oscar awarded, acting role coming up. I don't know what this is. Help me. Hold me. I'm scared. Ooh. Okay. Or do they see that it's him and just not say anything and just go, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What? That just came in? Hey, Jen. I think that is why the neighbor jail I talked to said that her husband said the FBI was asking if they saw a phone on the ground anywhere. If that's true, that means i.e. burner phone. And that's the thing. That's why that's the only thing I could think of is why they were looking for that. Because if they know that they're talking with Derrick, then there has to be a burner phone. And don't think that they can't trace a burner phone, because they can, i.e. Rex Heuermann. They were able to watch the burner phone. They triangulated on certain dates and they saw burner phones, and the burner phone was going to his neighborhood, and then the burner phone was going downtown Manhattan. So they can match the burner phone tracks with you and not know who owns the burner phone. So anyway, there's like a whole other guy. That's like Joey's twin, um, the Fawn's big knuckles is what does that. Okay, so all right, so now we're like, all right, we've got the three scenarios. Joey Big Knuckles gets the text, or A&T get the text, and we're like, oh, we're gonna just play this off like I don't know what this is. Or A&T gets a text, and they're like, just shut up, just shut up. If I don't see you, you don't see me. So and keep in mind about the ransom notes. This is a very busy day. This February 4th is a very busy day. Talk about a nexus. So much comes out of this day because not only does ICACs go in and suck the brains out of all their phones, A&T can hear the conversation of the feds telling a scream crying Savannah not to pay the ransom. They're shitting blue Smurf turds, realizing, oh crap, this whole thing has just gone to hell in a handbasket. And then that night, while everyone's doing sleepy dreamies, they've got pillow talk laying on their sides, looking at each other like, what are we going to do now? You wrote the first ransom note, because that ransom note had come out earlier that day on the 4th. And the next ransom note didn't come out to the 6th. But now Callella, or not Callella, but T is the prime suspect. Dude, you can't send that second note. You're going to have to send it and write it really good. Write it really good. Oh, she's in nature. She's buried in nature. She's got the wings of a unicorn, but the wings were burned because I'm dark. And the wings were burned and they flew off into the air because there was a tsunami of scorched earth. And it was a dust storm, and it got in my eyes and in my nose and my mouth. Okay, so that was her writing that second note. So we don't know. And I digress. So, and I'd reconstruct the acquisition of the numbers myself. This could actually make a terrific segment. Oh, Chad thinks this could make a great segment. Let's include it in our segment. Don't speculate about whether the information costs money. So, blah, blah, blah. How long did it take to find how did it? I don't care about this. We don't care if he got it for free. The idea is that it would have taken, like I said, zero probability that somebody that doesn't know anything about these people is going to connect these three names. 0% probability. I'm going to go with it. I'm dying on that hill. Not going to stop. And then the call, 9 seconds. Why? And this is the important thing. Again, in the charging paperwork, there's nothing about what was said. We got the text. We know what the text said. And again, we're the feds. We're building a case, right? We always get our man. 95% success rate of getting a conviction, you guys. 95%. We're going in with, 85% everything done. So why are there no details about this call? Is Callella mouth breathing? Is Callella saying hello, 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 hello? Is the person who picked up going, hello, hello, hello? Who is this? Hello? And I'm guessing, they're not saying that it's Savannah. 24 Pony GT, you know what? You're going to get on the spinning wheel on September 1st. You're going to get on the spinning wheel for that $20 gift card on Member Appreciation Day. You're in. You guys are going to see 24 Pony GT on the spinning wheel for $20. That's exciting. I like it. You're so cool now. I love you. You're my best friend. Please say you'll be my best friend. I want to get a BFF necklace where you have half and I have half. Okay. Thank you, 24 Pony You're not my BFF, and I'm very needy as a friend. I need attention, a lot of attention. Will you braid my hair or at least brush it? Okay. So they're building a case. These guys aren't going to leave anything out. These are pros, you guys. We hear it every dang day. We hear Jennifer Coffin Dagger. We hear Maureen O'Connell. We hear, I mean, all the FBI guys. I can't remember any of the rest of the names, but you know who they are. Okay. We are detailed people. We leave no stone unturned. Unless it's in this document, guys. Unless it's in the document. We have no details about this call. What's the importance of this call? Why did he make this call? They don't even say specifically. They say he used his VoIP for the text. I mean, I can assume he used the VoIP for the phone call, okay? But they're not really specific. You would think that they would have a paragraph. So-and-so used a VoIP calling Annie's phone and sent this text. Next paragraph. So-and-so used this VoIP at this IP address and sent this text to Tommaso. And then another paragraph. So-and-so used this VoIP IP address and sent a 9-second phone call to this phone number. And these are the words that are, repeated back or whatever. This is and maybe it's hearsay, maybe they can't include hearsay, but what's the gist of the phone call? And in this case, just like they say with cell phone forensics, sometimes turning the phone off shows guilt as much as leaving the phone on. And methinks sometimes the charging docks that just don't say anything or have any detail says all that we need to know unless you know the questions. See, do we know the right questions to ask? And that's what I'm trying to do today is like, okay, what are the questions that we really should be asking? So, and this is Chad talking here. So why did a man in Hawthorne, California, who knows no one in the family, go looking for private contact information for multiple members of a kidnapped woman's family, use a VoIP service to conceal his ordinary number, impersonate the kidnappers? But did he really? I don't think so. He just basically said, "Where's the Bitcoin, dude?" People are assuming he was impersonating kidnappers. Ask about Bitcoin. He did ask about Bitcoin. Call a family member 3 minutes later and subsequently tell investigators he wanted to see whether the family would respond. So there may be a perfectly mundane answer. He was an obsessive opportunist who wanted to insert himself into a huge national crime story. I don't know that anyone, again, who's on drugs, and yeah, I can actually say, I wasn't even thinking clearly. I can actually say that maybe alleged, but probably not. He is on drugs because they sent him to inpatient rehab. They don't send sober people to inpatient rehab. So it's a guy on drugs. He's sitting around. He decides this is the best thing I'm going to do today. Yeah, I'm bored. And pull out a credit card, look up all this information. I mean, believe me, when I was looking at mortgage information, I was on here for a couple hours the other night looking at this stuff. It takes a minute. And then with all the cell phone numbers, you're really telling me that he found 3 perfect phone numbers that are still in order randomly to people with different names and potentially a third member that remains unnamed. Okay. So I asked, statistically, is a drug abuser with a record of embezzlement, are they really going to pay to subscribe to a public site? And that was really, and he's not going to give me a question. And these are things I'm just thinking about. So I say to Chad, I don't think he paid a public site. I think he had their phone numbers and knew them. And again, we've seen all the connections, we've seen the posters. And so this is where the feds, do they really think that we're that dumb? Okay. We have no lives. People out there in the interwebs have no lives. And it did not take very long for people to show concert posters with everybody's weird, sadistic, satanic, evil, blood drenched band names. Yes, Jen. I find it interesting when any former FBI or former law enforcement that does not have inside knowledge could say anyone is cleared. No statement from FBI says anyone is cleared. Yes. There's no way these people are cleared, especially if they're going around looking for a burner phone. You can't tell me. And if they really are innocent, I'm telling you, if these people are innocent, which there's a very small sliver that they could be. This all alleged and speculation, and it's entertainment, guys. Fun. These are the unluckiest people to ever roam the planet. Unluckiest because of their behavior, because of lack of information, mixed messages. These people aren't out. The family's not acting right. Okay, law enforcement isn't acting right. These people, if they are innocent, which they could be, are the unluckiest SOBs and literally have a black cloud following them, just raining acid rain on their head. And if they are this unlucky, then not only do I feel bad for them that their mother had this horrible thing, but I feel bad for them because what else is going wrong in their life? Because there's just no way somebody could be this coincidentally unlucky. Thank you, Susan, for the jewels. Bling, 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 ching, ching, bling, bling. Okay. And I don't agree with Jennifer Coffindagger on a few things. I have total respect for her, but I don't agree with her on a few things. And Karen Reed is another one of those things where it's just like, okay, is she watching the same show I am? Where she thinks Karen Reed actually hit him? Is she watching the same? She looking at the same evidence I am? So, we can agree to disagree. And I still have absolute respect, and I have respect for all co-creators, and, good on you. But we can all agree to disagree sometimes. Okay. Still going down the page, guys. All right, so let me see where we are. So Chad says, I dug into the public court records, specifically looking for corroboration of Callella's explanation. The most important finding is that the criminal complaint tells us what Callella claimed, but does not publicly show investigators proving how he obtained the family phone numbers. And that, at this point, is probably one of my biggest issues at this point when we move the puzzle around. Okay, so let me just show you. So I've got this puzzle. It's one of these, there's like a little ball in here, and this is kind of like a little maze. And it's like a Rubik's Cube where you could turn it and you can move the ball around. There's the ball, and you can move it around. And so this is how I look at this case. And I'm like, okay, we see where we're at right now. But what if I move this around and then I twist it this way and I move the ball this way? And this is really what I'm trying to do with this whole Callella thing, because I haven't looked at this in this way. It's like, what's not in the paperwork? And I think that right now, September 10th is coming up, and I really don't think we're going to find out anything. But what I can tell you is, at this point, because of twisting the Rubik's Cube this way, I think that the biggest vacancy is what's not in the paperwork. Okay. What if this is the best of the best, okay? These are the dudes. I mean, the dudes, okay? They didn't put any details in this. And that to me is screaming informant. Why else would they? And we've all look at him like, yeah, okay, informant. You're not telling me anything new, Courtney, but I just have to say that there's no way that them not including all these details that are really important to build a case, these little details, tells me that he got a sweetheart deal and a lovely stint inpatient rehab because he's got the goods. And everyone's like, okay, what's going to happen after September 10th? I don't think that we're going to learn anything, even if somebody could be in the courtroom. I don't think we're going to learn anything because, again, just like the paperwork, they're not going to, there's going to be a vacancy there. We're not going to hear stuff. But does anybody have any theories on that? Could September 10th be a trigger? And that do they have to get that done before they can do step 2 on this case? So, and I'm peeling this back. I'm riffing right now. I have no idea where this is going, but why would they need to have his official charge? And I'm just theoretically looking at this. What is the benefit of them having to charge him first? What's the trigger? What's the button that gets pushed? Is there even a button? Once they charge him and he's on probation, is it them saying, okay, we've done our deal. We're in an agreement with this. We've put you in rehab. We're giving you probation. We're sending you back home with mommy. And I think that's what I need to look into. And I don't know if there's a there, if that makes sense. Is there a there? Is there something that we don't realize them getting the charge done that would then free them up to do something on the kidnapping? Like, do they have to get him charged and done before they can make an arrest? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. So I don't know. And I'm going to write that down. Because that's what I'm going to do. And I don't even have a decent piece of paper. I'm going to write it on a sticky note, a blue sticky note. So really, what does September 10th, what does it really mean? Does it mean anything? Does it mean nothing? Does it just mean, he got off, good for you? I just can't see them on this scale. I mean, here's how big this is, guys. Let's just do a temperature check. This is so big that the rest of the globe that had no idea who Chris Nanos was, and even the words Pima County, no one knew Pima County even existed unless you live there. It's to the point where Pima County is so on the radar that anytime any crime happens or bones are found or somebody's kidnapped or any similar type crime is committed now, that everybody's going immediately to YouTube. What's going on? What's going on? Let's go check out 857. Alex, what does Alex say? Okay. So this is a big deal. And they're being watched. This whole thing is being watched. And I can't imagine that they're not working really hard to get something done. Something's going to happen in September. Joe, that would be awesome. And you know what? I just want answers. We just want answers. We are control freaks. And, you know, all right, let me keep going. Okay, so I asked him, what does the complaint not say? All right, what does the complaint not say? So here's what Chad is saying. The complaint does not identify the cyber website. It does not say investigators located Callella's account with that website. It doesn't say that they found it on his computer. There's no computer forensics at all in that charging document. Hey, Equisico X5. Callella's sentencing was moved to 8/31. I saw it in Pacer today. The order is in the docket and it was entered today. Wow. Thank you so much for the $4.99. So maybe it's moved? Oh, man. Okay. And if they moved it, why did they move it? See? Why did they move it? They moved it for a reason. All right. So what's not in the paperwork? It does not say investigators located Callella's account with that website. It does not say they found searches for Annie or Tommaso. Where are the searches? Where's the evidence? This is a federal court. Where is the evidence of what they found? They did forensics on all his stuff. Where's the evidence? It does not say they found a purchase or subscription. It does not say they recovered browser history showing him locating the numbers. Does not show keywords of searches. It did he even search Nancy Guthrie? What websites was he watching? If he was following the case, what website was he watching and following from? Was he following it on, I don't know, what does a guy who's on drugs with an embezzlement charge living with his mommy, what was he following Fox News? You have to have a cable subscription to watch Fox News, by the way. How was he following it? Aw. Thank you, Jen. You're a beautiful angel. I believe that there are several tributaries to the main source and all of them being attacked at once. The main source will be unveiled soon. That is my strong suspicion and hope. Love your show. I love your show too, Jen. Oh, thank you so much. That is very generous. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for all of you. So yeah, we don't have keywords. We don't have browser. We don't have any of that. It does not state when he obtained the numbers. I mean, when did he obtain their numbers? Did he obtain them that afternoon? We don't know. There's no evidence. There's no evidence other than a VoIP and a text. That's what they tell us. The VoIP number he used, 2 texts, a 9-second phone call, all came from his Google. That's it. It's case closed, guys. And his defense attorney immediately said, we will plead guilty, guys. He folded. It's too bad Derrick Callella didn't have Action Jackson. Boy, I'll tell you what do you think Alan Jackson would have done if he was his client? We folded it. Yep, we're guilty. Harassment. We'll take it. Done. Thanks for the deal, guys. It does not say investigators independently verified the explanation. Really? The explanation of, I just wanted to see if the family would respond. I'm just a nuisance. That's what Derrick Callella is, guys. He's not the Nexus. He's not at the entire center of this whole thing. He's just a nuisance. He said he just wanted to see, he's curious. I'm curious. Why is it so bad that Derrick was curious? Derrick's curious. We're curious. Who could blame him? You know what? I'll tell you what, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that I was following this case and I didn't think to look up Annie and Tommaso's phone number and text them to see if they would respond to me. I didn't think of this at all. You know, we're curious, but I think we're lazy curious. He's curious with tactical, actionable steps. That's the difference. And look, he just got probation and he got a vacation in rehab. They're getting him cleaned up. I'm curious. What would happen to me if I started texting them? I saw phone numbers for Annie the other day. What if I started they're probably changed. Would I get probation? He's just curious. He's curious, but he's a man with a plan. We're curious. We're just lazy. We're not really willing to do the hard work. Derrick's willing to do the hard work, guys. All right, let me find this out. See if we're getting there, guys. I'm working it. I end up blabbering. His later guilty plea gives us another clue. The U.S. Attorney's description of his plea says Callella admitted his communications were meant to harass the family by seeking information about the investigation, which he's not asking any questions about the investigation. Embassy reported the same language. I love how they could just reword all this. I find that wording much more interesting than wanted attention. He was seeking information. Really? Because that indicates an information objective. What information did he expect them to tell him? Hey, hey, Derrick, thanks for texting. We do have the Bitcoin. Hey, Derrick, we're working with the FBI, but thanks for checking in. Thanks for caring. I mean, what did he expect? Hey, thanks, Derrick. We received your note. Derrick, we need proof of life before we send you this Bitcoin. Which wallet? Can we get the wallet number? And the 9-second call deserves much more attention. And this is really, and Chad says it's the missing 9 seconds. What's the 9 seconds? Why is there no detail about the 9 seconds? What's really, just like Nanos won't tell us how Porch Guy got into the house. We don't know how he got into the house. We don't know how the family got into the house. Okay. We don't know that information. We know nothing about this 9-second call, who it was to, how lucky is Callella that he was able to not only connect Annie and Tommaso, but he found some random third person who they shall not be named and got a third working number of somebody in the house while ICAX is there after the first ransom note is sent. Okay. Before note number 2 is sent. And after Savannah makes a plea. He's, like I said, he's curious. He's a man with a plan. He's sitting there going, inquiring minds want to know. And whoever he's sitting there with, maybe his mom or his drug buddy, he's going, hey, you know what? I need to know what's really going on in that house. Let me just text these people and then spend the next 3 hours trying to find their numbers. Okay. And yes, I sound sarcastic. I can't help it. All right. So if they ever became public, I'd look for these first. Callella's browser history, his Google search history, people's search site account records, credit debit, emails confirming a database subscription, cached search pages, VoIP account creation. Yeah, when did he create that VoIP account? That would be very interesting. When did he create that number? Why did he create that number? Does he ever use that number calling anyone else? Like, how many times has he used that VoIP number? That would be good information too. If you're building a case and you need evidence, you could say, yeah, he just used this that one time. Contact list extraction, historic call, text records, his communications with third parties immediately before the February 4th text. How about after? Who did he call after? Who did he call after the 6th when the second note was read? Who did he call after he was arrested and was let out? Device forensic. Were A&T's numbers stored on his device before February 1st? Are there any texts from that VoIP number around January 11th, January 1st, December? You remember that whole thing about Savannah's income being searched in like September, October of 2025 randomly? Here's his biggest unanswered Callella question for my show. It's my show. Woohoo! I'd phrase it almost exactly this way. I will, Chad. I'm going to use your exact words. So the FBI proved how the fake number led back to Derrick Callella, but where is the publicly disclosed evidence showing how Derrick Callella got Annie and Tommaso's phone? Well, I've already asked that, so thanks. So again, what else does the document not show? How the FBI verified his statement of what his intent was. No explanation of why he selected Annie. Why not Savannah? Why not Cameron? I mean, hello? If you know who has the money, everyone knows Savannah had the money. No one knows anything about Annie or Cam. Why are you texting the poorest people in the family? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I have no problem with that. But of the 3 siblings, the person who has the least amount of money, of even Nancy, is Annie and Tommaso. Why are you texting the poorest people in the family for money? Does not compute. Does not compute. Does not compute. I'm going to ask for Bitcoin from the poorest people. Her jewelry sells for $100, maybe. All right, we've talked about this. We've talked about that. Okay, I think we're good. Do you think we've buttoned this up? What do you guys think? Do you think that we asked some questions? Do you guys have any other layers of onion? Okay, here we go. The plea agreement may actually make the missing details more interesting. Callella ultimately pled guilty to 2 harassment counts. And reporting says the agreement contemplates probation rather than incarceration. That doesn't imply cooperation. Plea agreements routinely reduce charges, but why? I mean, there's no way they would. If it was like you or me, they're not going to do that. So what does he have? Okay, you're doing a plea. There's a deal being worked, quid pro quo. I'd want to examine the actual plea language extremely carefully for cooperation provisions, proffer language, sealed supplements, which they did say that they're sealed, but somebody did say that that's normal. Apparently it is normal to seal stuff. Dismissed counts, factual base, they totally downgraded those counts. Totally downgraded his charges. Governments, and none of this is ever going to be. I mean, it's like the dumbest document ever. All right, we've already gone through. What can we expect to see at his court date? Nothing. We're going to, well, apparently, our beautiful watcher here said that it's been moved. So September 10th or whatever date would show us, did he actually complete treatment? Did he remain drug free? Did he comply with release conditions? Maybe. Does Callella get an opportunity to speak his allocution? Bet you he doesn't. Or does he tell why he did it? I was high. I was obsessed. I wanted to know what was happening. I was trying to make money. I'm curious. I was just curious. Oh. And here's the thing. So let's just say he wasn't given a plea. Who are the victims here? The victims in this documented case is Annie and Tommaso. If this had gone to trial, need some witnesses on that stand. Annie and Tommaso, come on down. You have a chance to win this beautiful 1982 Volkswagen Rabbit. Come on down. Let's put you guys on the stand. We need you guys to testify that you were actually harassed. How did this text make you feel, Annie? Did it make you feel vulnerable and scared, considering your mother had just been, the world had just been ripped out from underneath your feet? Annie, how did this text harass you in the most vulnerable time of your entire life, the most traumatic time? We need you to talk about getting this text. Thank you, Annie. You may step down. Our next witness is Tommaso Cioni. Tommaso, can you talk to us about what you were doing on the day before you got the text? Yes, I can. There is not going to ever be a trial with these people. Why? Why'd they get rid of the trial? This is the biggest case. This is such an important case that we're now on Pima County watch alert. Anytime there's something going on in Pima County, we're tuned in. It's a big case. So why plea him out? Why not? Why? Why not put the family on the stand? Why not enforce the law? Because again, the world is watching. And you just gave somebody who inserted themselves in with no good intentions a freaking ice cream cone deal. It does not compute. All right. You know what? My mouth hurts from talking. Could you even believe that I said that? Yes, it's true. I have nothing left to say to you guys. Nothing. I put it all out on the plate. You've seen into my inner soul about this Derrick Callella bull pucky. Again, just another little piece of this entire weird case that makes no sense. There's no logic. No logic. So I posit to you, my lovely people, this is my town. These are my people. I posit to you that there's 0% chance that Callella is not involved somehow. I have no idea how that is, but I know I now need to go lay down. I'm very exhausted. I need to put on my little granny cap and my little jammies, my little nightgown that has a little collar all the way up. Okay, you guys, I hope you go forth and prosper. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Thank you for all of the jewels, bling, bling. Thank you for all of the super chats and stickers. Thank you to the new members. Yes, all my members will be on the spinny wheel of member appreciation spinning wheel on September 1st. I will be back. Please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, because you don't want to miss this and hear more about the aliens that we're seeing in Brazil that were really slimy and smelled like sulfur farts. You can't miss that. And you never know when that show is coming up. And if you don't hit the bell, you're going to miss sulfur farts and lizard people. Oh, Bluebird, thank you so much. You hit me with the jewels. Bling, bling. Thank you so much. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening. I, as usual, will catch you on the flip side. And toodaloo. Beep.